Hello and welcome back. Today I want to show you another camper trailer setup. So we've done a fair few camper trailer power system conversions over the years, and there's basically two different ways you can tackle them, because some of these come out with 240 volt systems built in, others without anything at all on the 240 volt side. Most of them have batteries in there. This one here is a Blue Water Macquarie camper. It came out with 2 AGM batteries from the factory, a very basic charging system, but the lights, the stereo, switching system was all installed. So the customer wanted a more reliable and more powerful solution for his power, and he also wanted 240 volt on and off grid. So what we've done is we've put a complete new 240 volt system in here because it didn't have any. And we replaced the charging system and the AGM batteries. I'll show you and I'll walk you through inside here. This space here was basically empty before. We just had a very basic charger in there. And what we've did is we put the VICTRON MULTIPLUS 2 kilowatt compact unit in here. It's charging the new batteries at the moment. Then on the side here, we've got the ORION-TR Smart 30 amp DC-DC charger, and we've got a MPPT charge regulator, 30 amp as well. You guys probably know by now, the beauty of the MULTIPLUS unit in here is that when this customer is off grid and there's nothing connected to the camper trailer at all, you can turn the unit on and off from this control panel on the side here, and then it will supply 240 volt to the outlets here and another outlet in the kitchen over there. So you can have 240 volt appliances even though you're not connected to the grid. But we've also got a 240 volt input on the outside right there. And once you connect that to shore power or generator or the grid, whatever you got available, the inverter will actually detect the outside 240 volt connection. And once it's stable and it's been tested for about 10-20 seconds, it will push the 240 volt from the outside through the inverter, through the transfer switch that is built in here, through the RCD to protect all the outlets, and then to the outlets, and you're running on external power. And at the same time, this unit turns into an 80 amp battery charger to charge, and that's what we changed as well, these two 200 amp hour lithium batteries. So he's got 400 amp hours of lithium in here now, where before he had 200 amp hours of AGM. So that would have been 100 amp hours of usable energy. He now went from 100 amp hours of usable energy to 400 amp hours of usable energy. He's able to plug solar in on the side. We've kept the wiring for that was in here from factory, and we've run a new cable to the A-frame for our Anderson plug connector. We use 6 BNS to minimize voltage drop because it's quite a long way from the front of the vehicle all the way to the back here. And that's basically it. We've got a few extra fuses put in here, and we've also got a remote control receiver in here for some lights that are on the back of the caravan, so he can turn off his lights and turn them on from the vehicle through remote control, but also if he has to go out at night, he can turn the lights on before he actually goes out of the camper trailer. I'll show you a bit more about the control panels here. So on this control panel here, you can turn the inverter on and off. You can also turn it into a charger mode only. That means it will not push 240 volts through, it will just charge the batteries. We rarely use that. A nice thing about this is as well that you get LEDs on the front and you can see what stage the unit is in. So at the moment we can see mains power is on, means the outside power is connected, and the charger is in bulk charge mode. If we would disconnect the outside power now, it would switch over to inverter on within less than 20 milliseconds, so it acts like an uninterruptible power supply. And at the same time, in case you get an overload, low battery or temperature fault or alarm, you can see a LED coming on here, so you don't have to have this accessible. Another cool feature is this little dial here. On this dial, you can actually adjust how many amps you can import from the outside power supply. So the idea is, let's say you run a 2000 watt generator, then you can get about 8 amps on the 240 volt side that you can import. In case you would draw more power because you've got external power now and you plug in your hairdryer and I don't know what other things that draw a lot of power, you might go past 2000 watt, which means you would stall the generator. But if you've got this dialed down to 8 amps maximum import, or even dial it down a little bit further to be on the safe side to 7.5, that means you will not get more than 2000 watt imported from your generator. Just in case you got a peak load condition where you draw about 3000 watt, within a split second the inverter will turn from a battery charger back into an inverter, which is called power assist mode. It will help the generator through the peak power, and then once the power drops back down below 8 amps, this turns back into a battery charger and you're back into the mode that you were before. It's quite handy. You don't even have to do a thing, which is also quite good if you actually connect with a 10 amp cable to a 15 amp power outlet and you got one of these reducer bits in between, the little 10 amp circuit breakers. You can just dial this to 9.5, means you will never import more than 9.5 amp and you never trip the circuit breaker that you've got in your cable. We have put the battery monitor into the side here. The battery monitor is a VICTRON BMV 712, so we've got Bluetooth functionality, so in case the camper is all folded up and packed away, you can use your smartphone, connect by Bluetooth, and you can still see what's going on with the battery. Because some of these campers, this one here as well, once you've got it folded up, there's a strut here that sits in front of the door and you cannot access the inside. You have to open it up to open the door. So if you just want to check what's going on with your battery, it's good to have Bluetooth connectivity with your battery monitor. And this location here works very well too, because you can be on the outside and you just walk past and all you need to do is just lean in here. You can see what's happening. You can see the state of charge in percent. You can see how many amp hours you've taken out of the battery. You can see the amps going in or out of the battery, the voltage of the battery, and you get a whole lot more. You can even get historical data and plot charts and everything on the app that comes with that. And all of that together concludes now that he has got, or this family has got, a complete off-grid system. You can camp with all the 240 volt, the 12 volt stuff running. It will all work off solar. You can connect enough solar blankets so you can connect 600 watt of external solar to this if you want to, and charge your batteries from solar and recharge each and every day. You can even run induction cooking of this thing if you want to. Only a single plate and not the most powerful because it's only a 2 kilowatt inverter. But this thing is completely ready to go off-grid and be self-sustained with everything. There's another way how you can integrate 240 volt. I'll show you on another camper trailer. This is a Jayco Swan camper trailer. It comes with a 240 volt system already installed. It comes with a battery as well. That battery will only run a pump and light, so it usually has a 100 amp hour AGM battery. Electric system is very basic. It's got a BM Pro charging unit in there. And it's all there, but none of it is really good. So if you really want to go off-grid with these campers, you have to do something with the electric power, especially if you want to use 240 volt as well. But we can use the same system that we've used in the other camper trailer and integrate it into this, and then run the 240 volt system that is already pre-installed in this through the MULTIPLUS inverter. And then add all our other chargers directly to the battery, convert the battery to lithium as well, keep the BM Pro in there just for the power distribution, but it doesn't do any charging at all anymore. So you still keep all the functionality of the BM Pro, but you take the charging away from it because it's not really good at that. The chargers in the BM Pro are average at best. So I can show you how you can actually do that. So So inside here, under this seat area, this is usually where in the Jayco campus you've got your electric system installed. There was a battery there in a battery box. We've taken all of that out. The only thing we've left, as you can see, is the J35BM Pro together with the control node. The 240 volt of that isn't connected anymore. And what we've done is there's a 400 amp hour AMPTRON lithium battery in here. It's just one battery, one big pack, because it did fit best like that under the seat here, because as you can see, it's just as wide as the space here. So it's just one massive battery. Then we've got our little power distribution units in there. The MULTIPLUS compact, again, 2 kilowatt inverter, 30 amp DC-DC charger, 30 amp roof solar charger, because we have put 480 watts of solar onto the Jayco roof rack that you can get. So there's 420 watt panels and a high voltage setup in there. That gives us 25 to 28 amps of charging in peak conditions. There's another solar controller in there that is for external solar, so you can plug in a 300 watt blanket externally as well, which gives us a lot of power. So altogether you can connect 780 watt of solar panels here, and you will easily charge 200 to 300 amp hours a day with that in good light conditions. Then to control everything, we've got a CERBO GX there that is connected to all the different VICTRON chargers. And you can see on the display panel that we've put in here exactly what's happening with your system. So at the moment you can see we're connected to shore power. The charger, or the MULTIPLUS, is in a float charge mode. Battery is at 100%. The DC system is using 60 watt at the moment because the fridge is running, and solar is not doing anything at all because we're inside a workshop. But on this one panel you can get all the information that you need. You could also hook up the water sensors to this. You can also turn the water system on. You can turn the inverter on and off through this panel as well. The CERBO GX is brilliant like that. Another thing that we've connected to it here is a 3G, 4G modem that is using a SIM card, and through that it's continuously monitoring the system and reporting back into a database that VICTRON has available for everybody who buys a CERBO GX. That service is completely for free from the VICTRON side. All you need is a SIM card, a Telstra SIM card. You can use a prepaid unit. It will cost about $150 a year. That's the cheapest subscription or the cheapest prepaid you can get from Telstra. The data will last you a whole year. That's 40 gigs. You only need about 1 or 2 for a whole year. And then you can monitor your system from everywhere in the world. As soon as this thing has got reception, mobile phone reception, it will always monitor, it will always report back into that online database. I can even turn things on and off remotely. I can do software updates remotely. I can change settings remotely. It's quite a good system. So another thing that we do is we change the fridges from the gas fridges that these come with to a compressor fridge, and we either use a Dometic fridge or Bushman fridge. They're much of a muchness. I would prefer the Bushman fridges, but back in the days I only had the Dometic available, so I had to do that. The good thing is this can now easily run for a week off that 400 amp hour battery, even without any charge at all. Makes it quite handy. Another thing that I've installed in here is a diesel heater under that bench seat there. So what it does is it draws in air from the side here, so you can leave the vent in the door open a tiny little bit. Then it will suck in fresh air, pump the air out here, pump it in that direction. Control panel is over here. You can set a temperature, turn it on. It's got the extra diesel tank on the A-frame, and you've got a heater. These diesel heaters work absolutely brilliantly. It's the fuel consumption is marginal. You use in between 5 and 10 liters for a whole week of heating. And even when it's around 0 degrees on the outside, I can easily keep it at 16 degrees on the inside here, even though the whole surround is just canvas. Lights and everything is the same. Nothing's changed there. We just kept the the 12-volt system and the 240-volt system of the trailer exactly the way it was before. But with this setup in here now, the trailer can drive into the middle of nowhere, set up solar on the outside, turn the water pump on, turn the inverter on, and it feels like you're in a caravan park hooked up to mains water pressure and to external 240-volt power. So you can have all the luxury, but in the middle of the bush where you can just be by yourself or with your friends, mates, whoever you want to take camping with you. I'll show you a bit more on the outside. So this is the A-frame. Camper's obviously set up. Over here we've got the diesel tank for the diesel heater, and we changed the wiring. So what we always do is we put a 7-pin round plug on because these are the most rigid plugs. Anderson plug for charging through the DC-DC charger, and then inside the A-frame here, there's a Anderson plug with a red cover. We put the red cover on there because that is a solar input. So the 20 amp MPPT charger I showed you on the inside is connected to this solar input. So when you want to connect your solar blanket, you can just plug it in here. And we like to put these into the A-frame because you generally park the back against the bush or something where you can't really set up your panel, but to the front of the camper you usually got some area available, or to the left or the right of it. So you can plug it in here, run the solar blanket to one side, to the other side, or run it to the front, which usually gives you an area where you've got sun all day long. And that's pretty much it. That's how you can change these camper trailers. You can even do it with caravans. We do that a lot as well. From the systems that they are actually been supplied with to a proper off-grid system, because there's rarely any camper trailers and caravans out there, even though it says it comes with the off-grid system. Once you go camping with them for the first few times, you realize it really is only semi-off-grid. Yes, the lights still work and the water pump, but you run out of 12-volt power so quickly. So with a conversion like this, lithium batteries, MULTIPLUS inverter, solar DC-DC charging and all that, you can actually live off-grid with these things. Thank you very much for watching, and see you for the next one.